Hello and welcome to Salaam Namaste. Broadcasting live from the Now Media TV studios in Houston, this is Saji Salaam. This evening we have a very special guest on the show. We have with us a multifaceted physician who is also a clinical informatics specialist, the founder of an AI startup, a TV show host, and a political commentator, and I guess many more. Welcome to the show, Dr.Sumanth Raman.
Thanks, Raji. Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be here.
I don't know if I did justice with my introduction, so I'll let you talk about you and what you do, Sumanth, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I studied medicine from the Madras Medical College, and subsequently I did a DCH and did an MD in internal medicine. Thereafter, I went into healthcare. I was working as a critical care physician for a few years and then got into healthcare IT. I worked with TCS for about 21 years, and very recently I set up a startup, which is incubated by IIT Madras Research Park. And it's also, I've been very fortunate to have been a quizmaster and to have had the opportunity to be a sports commentator, and over the last 20 years, been a television anchor and a political commentator as well. And most recently, I've also written a few books, and the second of the books was released just last week, called Sick Business, about the healthcare industry in India.
Oh, thank you for that good introduction, Dr. Raman. So let's peel this onion that is your various facets of your personality one by one. Let's dive into Algo Health and let's talk about what you do in the AI space in healthcare.
Yeah. Basically, one of the things that I've been working on for a very long time is to be able to use technology to improve the accuracy of diagnosis and treatment. Too many errors get made in hospitals, too many patients get harmed, and most of us have no clue at all as to how how the care provided to us actually was, whether it was in line with the appropriate protocols, and whether there was something that was missed, there was something that was done which shouldn't have been done, and so on. So essentially, when I've been working on clinical decision support systems for the last 15 years or so. But once AI emerged, it became a very, very exciting space, and it became an opportunity for us to deploy or use that AI and ensure that literally that nothing which should have been done was missed out on. So it's like a tool which enhances the level of patient safety, and which also helps doctors, helps the paramedical staff, the nursing staff, and of course the public themselves to find out what's going on with their health. And so that's the reason why I decided to set up Algorithm Health. Healthcare is essentially about a series of algorithms. Now, that's the way we are trained as doctors to sort of interpret medical data and so on. So when we started this, basically with a team of machine learning engineers and a couple of my doctor colleagues to help us, and gradually since then we've sort of developed and started working on very, very exciting technologies. Of course, the whole world is into AI, and AI in healthcare is an extremely exciting place to be in, and that's where we are focusing on: can we get accurate diagnostic output from can we get systems to interpret your lab tests, your clinical findings, your medication, your investigation reports, all of them run through an AI engine in an appropriate manner to give to give the right inference to the doctor or the user, as it were. So that's just what we do.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very interesting concept, and definitely healthcare decision making is a bunch of algorithms, and I think it's good that we are able to use AI effectively in that decision making process. So Um, I would like to delve a little deeper into the products themselves. Do you have, I think you have at least 2 or 3 products within this space of
Yeah.
Algo Health. Could you talk to those?
Yeah. Algo Health is basically the core platform. Now, the platform which analyzes diagnosis and treatment options, it would give you follow-up recommendations, it will suggest medication should you want it to, and it would also identify, differential diagnosis and all of that. What the other area which we found very interestingly, and this was not actually where we started, was that health insurance companies needed, in a country like India, for instance, fraud in health insurance is a massive problem. I mean, there are estimates that up to 15 to 17% of all claims are fraudulent in some form or the other. So it became necessary for us to sort of tweak the engine a little bit, or the platform a little bit, to make it pick up potential frauds in health insurance, where the diagnosis does not match with the symptoms, the investigations don't match with the diagnosis, the medication doesn't match with the diagnosis, uh, various mismatches between various areas of the discharge summary or the report or the medical report. So Algo Insurance basically does that analysis. It also has an offshoot which sort of analyzes the patient profile for risks. So let's say you've got an insurance company which is underwriting a corporate and maybe 1,000 employees, and you need to know the risk score for the employees across the chain. So you can run them through through our engine, and you will be able to get the interpretation. CDS's lab is basically the engine which looks at the laboratory investigations, and currently a lab test is read by the doctor at point of care. Now, it is possible that when there are 15 or 16 or 25 tests that he is interpreting, one could be missed out, or he could have missed out an abnormality in something. The correlation between different tests, between let's say a test which is in CBC and a test which is in liver function versus a lipid profile, correlating all of that is sometimes a challenge. And that's because the doctor's time is limited. Here is a system which can actually do that correlation and give it out to you, and that includes the decision support system for radiology. And the radiology system basically currently does not interpret medical images, because there are a lot of AI based applications that are already doing that, and we can do the interpretation of the medical images as well. Now, the vital signs can be monitored. We are the most exciting area that we are in is also the prediction alerts that we're building. We've got an algorithm which predicts sepsis, which is one of the leading killers in intensive care units. So a 24-hour prediction. Currently, we are around 73% accuracy. We hope to enhance that to the mid 80s. But if we do take a 12-hour, we are about 83, 84% accuracy, and all of these are validated. We've got a couple of very exciting publications, one in the area of diabetes, which we did with India's largest diabetes hospital. We've got one in the area of diagnosing rheumatology, which is actually being presented at the European League of Rheumatology in Vienna in June this year. So there is a lot of validation effort that's gone on. So this is not something that we are claiming or some such thing. These are typical studies which have been done, and at least 2 of them have already been published.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. What stage is the venture at right now? Is it in a revenue producing stage? What where is Algo Health at this point?
Yeah, Algo Health is at this point where we have signed up 2 clients just now in the last few weeks. We've had interest even earlier, but we were not ready, and I didn't want to go to the market with a product which wasn't fully there. So it took us about 3 months more than we originally planned. We were supposed to be out in the market by January, but that's taken April. But recently, the level of interest in seeing our applications has been very, very significant. And we are very excited because this is something which, you know, every major healthcare IT company is venturing into. So we feel that we are on the right track, and it's really a question of being able to scale up and meet the business challenges that there are. Not so much the technology is a challenge, but that we are very confident of overcoming. The bigger challenges are the business challenges, and that's where we are sort of actively scouting out for support. Currently, we are funded by some level of grant funding from IIT Madras, but as we scale, we will be looking out for funding as well.
Very, very interesting story so far on Algo Health. Let's come back and discuss more after a short commercial break.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Have you ever had to hire multiple contractors? It is a daunting task that takes a lot of management time and impacts the core business or the company, the time you spend with your loved ones. At Texas Home Property Solutions, you can count on a responsible company that can tackle all your general contractor needs. Electricity, painting, remodeling, plumbing, air conditioning, and roofing. Hire us and forget it. With over 20 years of experience, Texas Home Property Solution will deliver your project on time and within budget, with a high level of quality and integrity, no matter the size or complexity. If you are a company, a government institution, or an individual who needs a general contractor, you need Texas Home Property Solution. Take a decisive step and call us today for a free consultation.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Welcome back as we continue this fascinating conversation with Dr. Sumanth Raman. Dr. Raman, let me jump to one of the major questions when it comes to AI. AI has the technical and the business aspects, but there's also a sort of political aspect to it, especially around employment, and we are seeing that a lot of the blue-collar jobs can be automated, and now AI is coming into white-collar jobs. So how is the medical community responding? Do they see this as a helpful tool, or are they seeing this as a competition? How is the medical community responding in general?
The response of the medical community, to be honest, Saji, it could be a lot better, a lot more receptive. Right now, it is sort of seen as a threat. And, everywhere we go, we say that, look, this is to help you diagnose and treat your patients better. This is not something that is coming to replace you. But unfortunately, a large number of doctors, their first response is to say, this won't work, or it will not work as well as, I can with my clinical judgment and my clinical experience. Now, what doctors often don't realize is that we are putting together the clinical experience of maybe 100,000 people in the AI engine. It's not just picking up from the clinical expertise of one or two people. The second very important part is that we are not today measuring how accurate a doctor is in its diagnosis or treatment protocols. I mean, we do have certain hospitals carrying out assessments, but on an ongoing basis, whether it's an outpatient clinic or whether it's an inpatient center, how many mistakes have been made, how many diagnoses have been missed or picked up maybe 2 days later than they should have been, is something that we don't know. In no country in the world is this actually being tracked as it should be tracked. Some countries like India, for instance, is not being tracked at all. So so when we speak to doctors, the first point is, this won't work. The second thing, if it won't work, what happens if it makes a mistake? Now, you want a AI guided system to be 100% accurate, right? If it is 98%, you're not happy. You say, what happens if 2% it makes a mistake? But at the same time, that there is no realization that the doctor in a poorly performing center may only be 75% accurate or even less. That is something that we need to get people to understand. And as people understand, they will start. The point is, in 5 years' time, like today, people Google their medical record, their medical conditions, and then come over to the doctors, and ask multiple questions based on their Google searches. You will have people using the AI engines, and you will have people. That's something that the doctors will have to face. So they have a choice. They can either embrace this technology, or they can resist up to a point after which the change will be thrust on them. So that is the choice that they have. But this is something which is almost inevitably going to happen. Now the question is how long or how much of a delay there could be. We could debate that. 5 years, maybe 10 years, but it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a very interesting point that you brought up, and I did way back in the 90s when I was writing about these things. I used to talk about the fact that the internet will take away a lot of power brokers and knowledge brokers, right? Because a lot of professionals are knowledge brokers, and that knowledge was held closely by those professionals, be it attorneys, be it physicians, be it anybody else. And with the advent of the internet, there was a lot of democratization of that knowledge, and it is there for everybody. And even those days, there was that resistance to change in terms of not being able to accept the knowledge that the patients were bringing in. And there were sites like Patients Like Me, I think they're still active, where the collective wisdom of the patients is sometimes much better than a physician who is seeing, especially a general practitioner who is seeing so many physicians, so many patients in a day. And so I think internet has changed medicine a long time ago, and I think AI will make healthcare better, and it'll also help physicians a lot, because again, there's only 24 hours in a day, and you have, any human being has only so much of an attention span. So I think AI as a supplement to help prompt some of the points that may be missed is a great addition to the physician's tool set. And I think physicians need to see this as an aid or a support staff, than as a challenge. So I think hopefully that'll come, and really appreciate the effort that you and your team have been making in this direction.
Yeah. Such is just one point. I mean, in 2000, we started a telemedicine portal called Web Health Center. In 2000, a lot of people said this is a crazy idea. There's no way. I mean, who will want to, conduct a teleconsultation? Maybe it will work in remote areas and maybe in villages which don't have, access. But beyond that, it's not going to work. Okay, 18, 19, 20 years later, along came COVID. Today, teleconsultation is mainstream. And this is for patients who live at the other end of the city, who say that, look, I don't want to come all the way driving over an hour to the hospital, and I would much rather consult my doctor over a video consult and a teleconsult and for a routine review. So today there is no major corporate hospital in India which does not offer virtual consults. And I like to think that maybe we were a little bit ahead of the time in the year 2000. But when it comes to algo health, I feel that we are probably getting there much faster. Maybe 3 to 5 years time, this idea will really be mainstream.
I think so too, Dr. Raman. And once again, great effort here. I would like to talk more about algo health, but I think we've got a lot more to cover. So let's go to another facet of the work you do, and that is about the book that you authored recently, the book named Sick Business. So let's talk about the book, and I'll let you do the talking.
Yeah, Sick Business basically was born out of the need to put down my thoughts and my experiences on how healthcare system functions in India. This book is out on Amazon, and you can pick it up and read it. This is basically to raise a lot of questions. How much does your doctor know? Are you being over-tested? Are we being over-treated? How effective is the public healthcare system in this country? And so on. So the book basically explains a lot of current healthcare practice in this country. How is the pharma industry, profiting from what's going on in a virtually unregulated industry in India today? What is the nexus between the pharma industry, the hospitals, and the regulators? How is health insurance functioning? Almost all health insurance companies end up making losses. So why are they making losses? So it answers a lot of questions, and it raises a lot of very uncomfortable truths. The book is published by HarperCollins, and it is, I would not want to exactly call it a chilling portrait, but it raises a lot of very disconcerting questions. And I think that people who read this book, the whole idea is I would like them to start asking the right questions. And that's the first step towards getting better quality care. Once you start asking the right questions to the powers that be, to the government, to the insurance companies, to the hospitals, to the doctors, that's when you start to get better quality care. So that's really what the purpose of Sick Business is.
Mm-hmm. I think I think that view will resonate with a lot of people, including myself. And we've done campaigns during med school days where we were campaigning against some of those practices, such as commissions for scans, right? I mean, that's, I think, still an ongoing business model.
Yeah.
And again, commissions for pharmaceutical prescriptions. and the like. And to me, it is amazing that even today, not much has been done to curb those practices. And part of that probably is the, I would say, apathy or lack of participation of the common man in these subjects, or pushing this to taking the time to push this to a legal level. That's my take, but what are your thoughts on why it is continuing to be the case?
First of all, unlike in, say, the United States, healthcare is not an election issue here. Now, that is the first problem in India. You need to get that to change. Unless people vote for better healthcare, they will not get better healthcare. And right now, healthcare is not even in the top 10 list of priorities when it comes to voting topics. So we need to understand that, that once it becomes priority, political parties will have no choice. See, in India, there's a very sad, shift away from the public health system towards privatized healthcare. And even the government says that, look, we'll pay you the money, you go and get yourself treated at a private hospital, we'll compensate some of the cost, or a sizable portion of the cost. Now, that is not working. By every single metrics, that is not working. And close to 25 to 30 million people get pushed into poverty every year in India because of healthcare costs. It is the second leading cause of indebtedness in India after agricultural crop failures and so on. So that's a huge problem in India. And sadly, that there is neither the acknowledgement nor the activism in the community that is needed to correct the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting thoughts, and I think we need to touch upon more of that as we talk about the political discussion as well. But let's take a quick break and come back to continue this conversation.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure, and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock-bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Have you ever had to hire multiple contractors? It is a daunting task that takes a lot of management time and impacts the core business or the company, the time you're spent with your loved ones. At Texas Home Property Solutions, you can count on a responsible company that can tackle all your general contractor needs. Electricity, painting, remodeling, plumbing, air conditioning, and roofing. Hire us and forget it. With over 20 years of experience, Texas Home Property Solution will deliver your project on time and within budget, with the high level of quality and integrity, no matter the size or complexity. If you are a company, a government institution, or an individual who needs a general contractor, you need Texas Home Property Solution. Take a decisive step and call us today for a free consultation.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now. Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Welcome back as we continue this amazing conversation with Dr. Sumanth Raman. Dr. Raman, let's jump to a different topic, another area of expertise for you, which is your experience in visual media. Could we talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, sure. When I was in college, in school itself, I was sort of fascinated with sports commentary. You know, I used to sort of imitate some of the commentators, especially in cricket, and a few other sports as well. And when I was in college, I applied for an audition for, in those days, we only had Doordarshan, which was the state broadcaster. So it took me about 2.5 years, but finally, I got my first break when someone who had to go for a program for a event, a hockey tournament, couldn't make it, and I was called up as a kind of a replacement at the last minute. That was my lucky break, and after that, I was doing television commentary quite regularly. I did graduate to doing multiple international events. That was a great phase, whether it was cricket, whether it was hockey. I did 2 Champions Trophy hockey tournaments. I did 2 or 3 World Squash Championships. I did a whole host of events. I anchored the Olympic Games on a couple of occasions. So all of these were great opportunities in the field of sports. And parallelly, I was also doing a lot of quizzes. So I've done more than 1,500 quiz shows over the years. And then what happened was around 1998, I was sort of called and asked, look, can you anchor an election show? So it was a different area, but I was interested in politics. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And that was ironically, it was for a Malayalam channel, Asianet, and it was in English. So that went off well. Then we did it again in 1999. And since then, I was doing virtually every election, but then the debating format started on national television. And then I got drawn into that. So over the last, I think about 15 years or so, I've been fairly regular on national television. I still do anchor a few shows, but not with the regularity that I would have liked to do earlier. I have an active social media presence. I have about 350,000 plus followers on X or Twitter, and of course a smaller number on Facebook and so on. So that's how the journey is started. It's come from, and I anchored a quiz show which features in the Limca Book of Records in India as the longest running quiz show on Indian television. It was called the BSNL Sports Quiz, and I anchored that show, fortunately, for 17 years.
Wow, that's a lot of years in running the same show. I mean, it's just amazing. And the is the range of topics you have covered on TV is very, very interesting. Coming to one of the concerns I think I have about some of the talk shows on TV, the Indian TV, is I still see a lot of that turning to be yelling matches, right? So do the anchors now have mute buttons for these political TV shows, or has the scene gotten better? How do you control the speakers on those, especially the political shows?
Yeah, yeah, Saji, it's very sad, but these shouting matches are the ones which actually get the TRPs skyrocketing for the channels. A civilized debate where each person speaks in turn, everything goes on in a quiet, organized way, hardly does get any ratings points. But you have these wild slanging matches which go on, people abusing each other, shouting over each other, and guess what? The TRPs go through the roof. So it's very unfortunate that audiences and seem to be, at least on the face of the ratings, seem to be enjoying these kind of slanging matches. And I think that's one reason why television channels have not dealt with this as firmly as they should have. Otherwise, you would have had a situation where they would have dealt with it quite firmly. Nowadays, they don't deal with it so firmly because, oh, it's getting good ratings. Why should we really affect that? But yes, they do have control over the faders, and the faders, are downed every time things get out of control. So the shows are completely controlled by the anchor and by the channels.
Oh, so there are checks and balances if the anchor wants to, but to me, then based on what you just said, it is a call based on, hey, how much should I push this? Because on one end you have the TRP, and on the other end, what does journalism become, right? That question, and so it's a behavioral change which cannot happen unless the dynamics of TRP and probably the ads that are run on those shows also change, right? Otherwise, this seems to be a lot of noise to a point where, I don't know, sensible people will maybe switch off from those shows altogether, right? Because it's just become a noise-making machine than sensible discussion. So hopefully, there is a move in that direction, and some anchors like you take the lead in bringing sense and common sense to these TV shows on politics, especially. So hope we see that. Will be a great change of direction there.
Yeah, that's true. And I think one quick point is that, by the nature of ownership of the channels themselves, they're now mostly owned by big industrial groups. These groups have very large business interests, so they cannot afford to be antagonistic to whichever is the ruling government. So therefore, they tend to soft pedal many of the questions, or many of the activities of the government. They end up questioning the opposition parties more of the time. So I think, and the anchors also tend to be active participants in the debate. They're not just anchoring debates; they're actually taking sides. So there are a lot of issues, and one hopes that things will get corrected. But you're right. Mainstream media is losing a lot of its audience to social media. There are now YouTube channels which generate 2 million, 3 million views, which even 5, 6 years ago or 10 years ago would have been unthinkable. So that's the level of the exodus from mainstream media towards social media.
I think that's a great point that you're making, Dr. Raman, and I think this is happening globally. So for different reasons. So credibility, the mainstream media's credibility is being lost. In India, for some of these reasons, right, like it become unbearable to watch some of these because there's nothing that comes out of it except venom and yelling, and of course a lot of business interest that comes in too. And in the mainstream media in the West, and especially in the U.S., we see not so much of the yelling and shouting, but still the views that are presented are very much biased, and there's no more news. There's more opinions and somebody's business interest that is being thrust on the audience, and so there is, especially the new generation does not watch TV at all. They prefer YouTube, TikTok, and and Twitter for their news, and that is not
Absolutely.
good news for mainstream media, and hopefully they wake up before it is too late. So let's hope for the best is what I would say with regard to this whole TV show culture in India. Let's now talk a little bit about your role as a political commentator, and I would actually like to use this opportunity to talk about the Loksabha elections that's going on in India, and maybe talk about how the elections have changed in India from, I think, from a lot of political murders that used to happen way back when, to social media and whatever else. So I'll let you do the talking on how that political scene has changed in India.
Yeah, I think one of the big pluses that's happened over the years is that the levels of violence, fortunately, in almost all states, has significantly reduced. Earlier electoral violence used to be a major issue in India. Now it's not so much of an issue. So the sad part is the power the power of money. Money has really started to dominate elections in India. You need money to contest these elections, and you need big money to contest these elections. You cannot, this whole argument of the elections being free and fair, it just is not fair. It is loaded in favor of the person who is moneyed, and that is something that has changed irrevocably. In some states, there are voters who are getting paid. So things have reached a stage where you need millions and millions of dollars to actually be competitive in a Lok Sabha election. And that's a very, very sad situation, because that wasn't the case till even 25, 30 years ago. Yes, you needed some money for your election expenses and so on, but certainly not to pay off voters or pay off opposing candidates. All kinds of skullduggery that goes on in association with the elections. And the only saving grace is that there is no violence. Instead, there are people who are paying off other people for various reasons to achieve electoral success. This election is very interesting because 2-3 months ago, many of us thought that the election itself is just a formality, and it was a mere question of whether the ruling party, the BJP, would win 300 or 350 or 370 or whatever. The last month or month and a half has been a little different, and the election has become more competitive. Having said that, the BJP is still the front runner, still heavily favored, but this is not a done deal in the sense it was maybe even 2 months ago. Though I know a lot of the audiences in the United States and NRIs seem to believe that it's a done deal. Increasingly, it looks like there will be a contest at least in about half a dozen states where it was not a contest last time.
Okay, very interesting conversation. Let's come back after a short commercial break and continue this conversation.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Welcome back, and let's continue this discussion on the Loksabha elections in India. And like you pointed out, Dr. Raman, the perception among a lot of the NRIs was that this election is a foregone conclusion. So this is news to me that there's a different perspective. Let's talk more about what's going on on the ground in India right now.
Yeah, there are a few states where things may not exactly be a repeat of 2019, and a couple of states that have, been a little disconcerting from their own internal surveys for the BJP. One is Karnataka, the other is Maharashtra. I think these two states have the potential to sort of upset the apple cart slightly for the BJP. The other part is that the sweeps that they were having in the Hindi belt, 25 of 25 in Rajasthan, 28 out of 29 in Madhya Pradesh, 10 out of 11 in Chhattisgarh. Now, there are indications, for instance, in a state like Rajasthan, that they could lose 2 or 3 seats. It's not much. They're still going to sweep the state, but they could lose 2 or 3 seats in Rajasthan. They could lose, 8 to 10 seats in Karnataka. They could lose up to 20 seats in Maharashtra. So these are big worries, mind you. These are major concerns because the party got 303 last time, and the 303 was obtained by sweeping the Hindi belt and doing extremely well in Maharashtra and Karnataka. Even in Bengal, there is a theory that the BJP may not do much better than they did last time. So where are these losses going to be made up? Yes, they say that Uttar Pradesh, they will do as well as they did last time, maybe even marginally better. But there's not much headroom in UP. They swept the state last time too. So there are challenges. The southern states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, even Telangana, are not really offering the BJP a very fertile ground. Telangana maybe 3, 4 seats, 5 seats maybe, but not big time. So I think that there is a challenge that the party faces. Haryana, for instance, there is a farmers' agitation which has gone on for quite some time there. So there is discontent brewing on the ground there. So last time they won all 10 in Haryana. This time it may be 8. But even you drop 2 seats here, 3 seats there, and that really adds up. So they need to be made up. So that is why I said that 2 months ago, yeah, this was a done deal. I mean, this was definitely 300 plus for the BJP. Now I'm not so sure. I think we will, as each phase gets completed, we'll have a better idea.
That's very different from what we're hearing from the mainstream media. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues. Even though the politicians take the voters for granted, but in reality, despite all the money, power, and all the money that is spent in campaigns, the electorate in India has been making choices. They are thinking through choices, and you see that in some of the voting patterns. So, for instance, if you look at Kerala, they voted for the CPM for the local elections, but for the Lok Sabha, they voted Congress. So the voters are thinking, So let's understand what are the top issues that the voters are looking at when they go to polls this time around.
Every survey which is done before every election will come up with the same set of issues which are on top of the minds of the voters: unemployment, inflation, price rise, the usual issues, uh, drinking water problems and so on, infrastructure issues. So this is what will usually be listed. But people vote differently at different times, despite saying or officially saying that they are concerned about the same set of issues. Now, what we are understanding is this time the emotive appeal of certain issues does not seem to have been as big as the ruling party may have hoped for, most notably the Ram Mandir, while still being an emotive issue in a handful of states, is not really the kind of emotive issue that the BJP would have hoped it would be pan India. So that is something which has changed. The second is the bread and butter issues are starting to sort of matter. People are starting to get angry at their local representatives, and I think that this is very significant, incredibly significant. That in many constituencies, you have people actually coming out and saying, in fact, this is all over the media, that look, I have no problems with Mr. Modi, but I don't like my local MP because he's done nothing for me. So what should I do? So this is a feeling which is quite strong in many constituencies in India, where people simply don't like their local MPs. They may not have a problem with, and they're actually saying, look, we voted despite everything. We gave the same MP a second chance in 2019 because of Mr. Modi, and now you're asking us to give him a third chance because of the same Mr. Modi. That is where there is a challenge for the BJP. And you've got rebels who are contesting in some places, and you have rebels who are going around saying, please vote for me and not for the MP. But Modi ji will do a great job. So whose vote do they split? They split the BJP's vote. So there are such problems in different states, and all of this needs to be factored in. So when the surveys come up with 360, 370, and all that, I honestly can't see that happening. Yes, they are the front runners. They are very likely to get a majority, but I honestly can't see much beyond that. Or maybe they could even, potentially there could be a scramble to get a majority also.
So what I'm hearing is that the voters have woken up to the reality and are starting to think beyond.
Starting to wake up. Yes. I wouldn't say they've woken up fully. They're starting to wake up.
Starting to wake up and think beyond emotive issues and really look at bread and butter issues like inflation, employment, and things that really matter to them, and also the accountability and performance of the local MPs. So I think that it is a good start, and we hope, right, that more of that seeps into the electorate so that they can make informed decisions based on the performance of their local politicians. So that's definitely interesting. On a national level, though, for the opposition parties, right, if you look at the opposition, the narrative seems to be that there is no alternative because the opposition is divided, with a lot of regional parties eating into what was once the major opposition party, the Indian National Congress. So what's the scene with the opposition?
Look, the BJP's biggest trump card is actually the opposition. A half-decent opposition would have managed to wrest power from Mr. Modi's government, potentially even 5 years ago, but certainly should have won an election held now with the prevailing issues that there are, in India. But the fact that the opposition is so inept and the Congress party in particular is so phenomenally inept, is what is giving the BJP the confidence to talk about 370, 400 seats and so on. So I think that we have to understand here that finally, despite all the botching up that they have done, all the infighting, all the tamasha that we've seen in the opposition, they've managed to work out a working India alliance to put up a unified candidate in at least 260, 280 seats. They would have wanted to have a unified candidate in about 350 seats, but at least what they have done, one has to give it to them. Now, will this be enough? We'll just have to wait and see, because there are places where the BJP got more than 50% of the vote last time in multiple states. So when you get more than 50%, everybody else getting together makes no difference. So we have to wait and see which way, whether the BJP's vote share will fall in some of these places. Will the unity and putting up a common candidate by the opposition snatch a few more seats away from the BJP? All these are questions which we'll have to wait and see. But clearly, I would not say that the opposition has not done anything. They've managed to finally get their act together, even though they did give a lot of room for ridicule in the manner in which they got their act together. Finally, they've got their act together to some extent.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are coming to the close of the show. We have like 2 minutes left, but what are your thoughts on how social media has shaped the election campaigns in India?
Huge. Social media is hugely shaping. Look, today it is not about social media being for urban elite audiences. The rural Indian is consuming probably more social media than even the quote unquote urban elite, because the number of people with mobiles who have access to the internet is massive, is just massive. And the fact that they are spending almost their entire days in between work, whatever gap they get in between work is spent on the phone, and it's spent looking at WhatsApp, it's spent looking at videos on social media, and a lot of it is political stuff. The sad part is huge explosion of fake news, of misinformation is something that is a huge challenge. And sadly, it's unfortunate that some of the political parties themselves have been involved in this spreading of fake news. So that is really the challenge. But does social media play an important role? Social media plays a hugely important role in these elections. And, I think it's only going to increase going forward, because people have now understood that mainstream media is heavily biased and is virtually functioning as a cheerleader for the ruling party for a variety of reasons. And therefore, the belief in mainstream media has crashed. So where do people go after that? They go to social media. And there are now certain anchors who were earlier on mainstream media, now on social media, who command millions of subscribers, and every video of theirs has got 10 million and 20 million views. So that really tells you where we are.
Okay, great perspective there, Dr. Raman. So thanks again for joining the show, and it was a great discussion. And for our viewers out there, we'll be back same time next week. Thanks again. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Sajid. Bye.
Thanks.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you